Happy Friday, Vendasta, and welcome to All Hands and Product Showcase for July 4th. Please put your hands together for your host today, Brian Larson!
All right. We have a absolutely wonderful presentation here. You know, I was expecting with Canada Day earlier in the week and 4th of July this week that we wouldn't have anyone in the audience, and yet here we are, packed. So it's great, it's great. Let's dive right into the slides, shall we? Okay, so as mentioned, happy 4th of July for all of our American friends. Obviously, we had a chance earlier in the week to celebrate Canada's Independence Day, and today we celebrate American one. And so 2 great celebrations back to back. Get your fireworks in and get it all out of your system, because this is it. So yeah, anyways, anyone on the American side? I did notice in sales stand-up we had a few of our American folk join us. So, you know, kudos to you for working on the weekend. I guess that's more of an American trend than a Canadian one. All right, so let's have a look at the agenda today. We've got 1 new hire joining our team here at Vendasta. We got 11, count them, 11 anniversaries this week. 2 very special kudos, customer love, and then we'll get into a couple of presentations. I'm going to provide a presentation that I gave to our Partner Advisory Council last week, and Jason's going to come and talk to us about all of our favorite summertime activity, fishing. And so it's going to be a darn good time. Thanks for showing up. All right, let's dive into the new hires here. And so we have an AI automation specialist joining us here in Chennai. It's fantastic. We have Makalakshmi who joins us, and so welcome to the team. Good to have you. All right, 11 anniversaries. Let's go through them here. Off the top, 1-year anniversary for Brandon Coos. Nice job, nice job. Made it 1 year, that's awesome. Mithurani is also joining us in the 1-year club. Awesome, thanks for that. Developer 3 in Chennai. On the 3-year side, we have Harini and Anya joining us for 3 years. Thank you for all your hard work over the past few years. Wonderful milestone, wonderful milestone. We have Shakar and we have Rubiga also joining us in the 3-year club. Thank you for all your hard work. Wonderful. And Nathan also joins the 3-year club. So we got a number of 3-year folks joining us. That's an awesome milestone. Closing in on that big 5. All right, on the 4-year front, we have Braden Gadet and Jay Kumar joining us on the 4-year club. That's awesome. Congrats, congrats, and thank you for all your hard work. We have Matt Kraft and Nathan McNeil. We're going to have to get an updated photo for Nathan. This one's a few months old now, but yeah, so it still looks pretty good. Good job, good job. 8 years, that's, you know, 8 years is huge. But we have Barbara coming in for our 10-year anniversary. 10 years is a major milestone. Account manager for our EMEA remote team, and it looks like we've got a little bit of a video to play to celebrate Barbara's 10-year anniversary. Let's do it.
Congratulations on your 10-year work anniversary. You're such an important part of our EMEA team. You're committed and client-obsessed, and you're always ready to help. And somehow you do it all in different languages. You do it in Polish and French, Italian, English, and now also a bit in Dutch. I want to tell you that our clients, they love to work with you, especially Italia Online, and so do we. I also think our sharing is caring approach to oysters and pasta should be an official tradition at every team dinner. You're a great colleague and friend. I'm looking forward to sharing many more great memories together. So thank you, and I will try to say thank you to you in your languages. So, dziękuję, merci, grazie, dankjewel.
Barbara, congratulations on 10 years. You are the most impressive polyglot I've ever met, and you know, for various reasons that we probably don't need to get into. I think we are all so grateful that Italian specifically is one of the languages that you know. Thank you for all of your help over the years. You are truly appreciated.
Congratulations, Barbara, for your 10 years in the EMEA team. Thank you for being such a helpful colleague and for being fun. Cheers to the next 10 years.
Hi, Barbara. Happy 10 years. Thank you for all your contributions. You've been amazing and have handled some of our European top accounts. So thank you for all the great things you've done. Really appreciate you, and happy 10.
Hi, Barbara. Congratulations on 10 years at Matchcraft and now Vendasta. It's been really, really good working with you. It's amazing that I get to work with a team that comes from all different places, and it's really great having you on the team. I've learned a lot from you, and it's been really, really good, and I hope to keep working with you for another 10 years. Bye.
Hi, Barbara. Happy 10th anniversary. Congratulations. Thank you so much for all of your hard work over the last 10 years. Really appreciate it. I know our customers do as well. They all adore you and say great things all the time. You constantly are getting compliments. Thank you so much for all your hard work in 10 years. One more thing. Don't give up your dreams about the rhubarb bar that everybody's been singing about. It's really important that you keep those alive.
Ja, man konnte sagen, dass Barbaras Rhabarberkuchen ohne Wenn und Aber gar eine geradezu magische Erfahrung war. Abracadabra, ja, dieser Kuchen war geradezu bombastisch und die Nachfrage danach erstarkt.
All right, there we have it. I don't know about you, but my highlights include Brad Peterson dancing and various wonderful accents from people around the globe on the Vendasta team. So those were wonderful. And let's keep moving on here. Okay, so let's jump right into kudos mode. Obviously, we've got our 16 leadership principles. Let's have a look at who we have today. This one comes from Corey Leet, going out to Tobin. Tobin went above and beyond to support one of our growing partners, Kaseya, as they prepared to launch a test group of social marketing accounts for their new offering. Late Friday evening, a Kaseya stakeholder ran into a workflow issue and struggled to understand a key piece of the setup. Tobin jumped in after hours and worked with him into the early hours of Saturday morning to resolve the problem, demonstrating true commitment. He followed up again on Monday morning to ensure everything was on track. After spending a few days with the Kaseya team in Saskatoon, they're excited about our AI product vision, and Tobin's level of ownership and customer obsession was the icing on the cake. Huge thanks, Tobin. Nice work, nice work. Nice little bit of ownership and customer obsession there. You can never be too customer obsessed. All right, let's dive in. This one comes from Jeff Leibel. Big kudos to John for hosting the Partner Advisory Council. You kept everyone informed, engaged, and focused throughout the event. It's not easy to manage that many voices and perspectives, but you did it with confidence and clarity. You built real momentum with the group and set the tone for what's ahead. Thanks for the leadership and the energy you brought to the table. It made a huge impact. Yes, thanks so much, John, for that. The event went off extremely well, and no shortage of effort to make everything come together so smooth. So thanks to everybody involved there. A little bit of customer love. All right, this goes out to Aisha, and this is from Kona Medical Consulting and ICU Agency. So there's a couple of components to this. The first one is around the Sales and Success Center retirement and some of the sales tasking. Here we hear that her recordings were a humble and easy way to clarify things for me. Thank you for being polite and fast to help me with something I've been struggling with for a long time. And then we have a query of retail and wholesale payments. I only needed a quick clarification of an issue, and Aisha was clear, concise, and friendly in delivering the information. Aisha was knowledgeable and professional. Thank you for your assistance. So a couple of really great customer shout-outs there. Nice work, nice work. Okay, we've got a few events. As mentioned earlier, we have an Independence Day today in the US. We have a hobby hour taking place today at 3 o'clock. This is tie-dye, painting, and more, and so it's going to be a darn good time here at HQ. And we have a hackathon coming up on the 14th and 15th, and so let's make this one interesting. It's a great time to get into hackathon in terms of everything that's going on. So should be really interesting projects coming out of that. Looking forward to it. We have some learning and development opportunities for those interested. Coming up on the 9th of July, we have Workflow Wednesday automations with Alistair, and he'll be Note, Tooltip Tuesdays have moved from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. CST, so mark your calendars for that on the Tooltip Tuesday. All right, with that, I'm going to switch into our main presentation for this All Hands. Again, this is one that I gave at the Partner Advisory Council, but wanted to share it with all of our staff. It's called The Effortless Economy, and it's about consumer behavior and expectations in the era of AI. So, if you rewind way back into January, I presented a topic on some of this that comes from Jacob Nielsen, a thought leader in the UX space. And one of the quotes from him was this idea that AI systems are shaping up to launch the third user interface paradigm in more than 60 years. And so just a refresher on what he's getting at there, we kind of remember these cycles of technological innovation. Brendan's presented on these multiple times. But if you go back in time, back in the 50s, 60s, we had the era of batch processing. That would be a point where I had punch cards. I'd load them into the computer. I'd go have dinner with my wonderful family, come back the next day, and voila, the computer would have an output. This is an era that none of us really remember, but this was the first user interface paradigm. Moving forward, we move into a long-standing command-based interaction design paradigm. This is one where, you know, for those that were early computer lovers like me, this is the era that you kind of probably got you into technology, either peeking over a friend's shoulder, maybe you were lucky enough to have a family computer, something at your school, but we all had our first love of computers early on in our lives. And over 60 years, while we have had massive advancements in technology and the types of applications we've built, this type of user interaction paradigm has essentially remained unchanged. That is, until now, we move in where we have our intent-based outcome specification that is largely driven by a technical advancement in AI computing. So for many of our lives, this is the first time we're moving into a new paradigm. Now, it's interesting, when we think about this new paradigm, this is where it's not just click, get a response, click, get a response, right? This is not the command-based era we're moving into. This is a new sort of era where rather than the user telling the computer, you know, what to do, they talk about the outcome that they want, and the computer is becoming increasingly advanced in running through reasoning, capabilities, utilizing data sets to go ahead and actually produce that type of outcome. And so it's interesting because we're not approaching this era, we're in it. And so we're already starting to see changes in user behavior today, and that's what we're going to talk about. And so we're going to take a little bit of an exploration on some initial changes in behavior and expectation. Now, there's one for me that I'm most fascinated with out of all the changes in behavior and expectation, and that is people falling in love with AIs. Now, we're not going to talk about this today, but we probably should talk about it at some point. And if you think I'm kind of full of crap, you don't have to hunt too far to find out that people are already starting to create emotional and often romantic connections with AIs, which is an absolutely fantastic change in user experience and behavior, and something that we'll only continue to see accelerate. But today we'll keep things a little bit more back to business, and I'm going to talk about 3 relatively nerdy topics, but look to simplify them with some real-world context: zero-click search, conversational commerce, and the last but not least, model context protocol put in real world. So let's start with zero-click search. So, despite these being nerdy topics, we can stay on that idea of falling in love with AI, and we'll do something that is a narrative built around a date night. So you could imagine maybe it's Friday, you might have a date night planned tonight, and in fact, if you do, awesome. But maybe you've got this date night planned later tonight, and you were thinking of doing really something special for that special loved one, showing them that you care throughout the day, and you were going to send them some flowers, okay? So it seems like a pretty easy task, no problem. We'll just go out and send flowers. If you happen to be like me, though, you're a little bit clueless about how to maybe go about this, okay? So if you're a little bit clueless, you might have some questions. First off, I need to know who in town delivers flowers, okay? Secondly, I want to know who grows them best. I don't want just, some half-dead flowers. I want high-quality stuff. On the other side, I might look at what type is appropriate. I don't want flowers that are best for a funeral. This is a date night. I want something romantic. And also, did I need to plan this a week ago, or is same-day delivery a thing? I've got all of these questions. If you would have asked me maybe a year ago, I'd probably put a search like this into Google, flower delivery in Saskatoon. And the type of result that I would get when I did that search might be something like this, which is generally referred to as the local pack, showing me some of the best retailers in the city, their ratings, their locations, their contact information, pretty helpful stuff. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I'd probably start rephrasing that search as in the form of a question. And if I did that, I'm going to start getting a different type of result, which is an AI overview, AI going out, summarizing information. Now, if you had a keen eye on this, you will notice that the local pack and the businesses that are listed there and the AI overview are a different set of businesses. This is not just pulling from the same type of data. In fact, Bill's House of Flowers, #1 on the list in the local pack, not even mentioned in the AI overview. Interesting. If you asked me yesterday, I just put all of my questions into one big prompt and let ChatGPT tell me everything I need to know and more. Despite how you do this, even if I did all 3 of these things, I can do this in a matter of seconds. On the right is all the information that I learned, from the top-rated florist to their hours of operation, even extra things like tips for personal touches. And on the left is how many websites I went and visited, which is kind of crazy because for me, you know, kind of being really immersed into the dawn of the mainstream internet in the mid-90s, you know, websites was everything. You'd see new websites created, people, you know, creating GeoCities account and creating websites. Websites was a big deal. And so to abstract this type of information from the internet without going to a website is a massive change in human behavior. So in a recent interview with Matthew Prince, he's the CEO of Cloudflare, he said that 75% of search queries get answered without you leaving Google. Now you get some varying stats on this. 75 is probably currently what we're seeing in mobile. But despite that, we're on our way there across all devices and higher. And we know we're increasing because the same type of data was accumulated back in 2019, and about 50% of searches in 2019 resulted in what they call zero-click. And today we're at 75 and only going higher. And a lot of that increase is due to these new AI paradigms like AI overviews and AI-generated responses. I just don't need to go to websites when they're going and extracting the best information for me and summarizing it in an easy-to-understand format. Now, coming soon, if you're celebrating 4th of July right now in America, you have some early access to AI mode. In Canada, we wait a little longer for it. But you'll notice that Google's going all in on this. The lucrative All tab, which has been the default for years and years and years, is getting a new contender as the primary option, and it will be AI mode, meaning you will have a dynamic interface with your search, and the AI overview that you got at the top of your search results is about to change. And so we can expect that this type of behavior will lead even greater into the idea of zero-click search. And so what that kind of means from business standpoint is all of a sudden search engine optimization in isolation is no longer just a full strategy. We need to start thinking about how AI searches, which is right now referred to as generative engine optimization. Doesn't matter whether or not that term sticks or not. You can think of it as AI search. So if you think about SEO, we're looking at something like keywords and backlinks, primarily to increase your rank. When you look at GEO, you're looking at structured data in AI-friendly content formats, and we're going to, as an organization, start learning more and more about this if we expect the businesses that we serve and ourselves to actually be relevant in the era of AI and align with this change in consumer expectation and behavior. And so where you'll see moving forward in our roadmap is the AI search specialist. Formerly, this was coined as the AI SEO specialist, but it's funny that things are moving so fast that we actually have to change the name of our Vision AI employee simply because the name is losing relevancy, right? And so this is the rate of change that we keep up with. We'll also look at aspects of our AI content creator when we start to see the preliminary abilities there start to come to fruition in our AI employee workforce. And so the content creator understanding what AI-friendly format means and utilizing data about the business that might be really something helpful for AI that helps that business be more relevant in AI search. Now, it's important to think that 0 clicks does not necessarily mean 0 sales. And so I'll give you an example of this. In 2012, there might have been 1 million people today looking for information within a certain topic or niche, right? And maybe 15,000 of those actually visited your website, and 400 of them led to a sale. Looks like a pretty typical funnel. In 2025, there's still the same amount of people potentially looking for that topic. But because of 0-click search, you're going to get a lot less people actually visiting the website itself, but that doesn't necessarily mean less sales. You have to assume that when people get to the website, it is at a point when they're ready to transact. How you actually start to think about the homepage experience has to assume that a ton of awareness, discovery, and research has already been done, maybe even information that is on that website, but actually surfaced to a consumer or a potential customer in a way that is AI created. And so if we're thinking about the idea that the website is here primarily for conversion and transaction, then this should start to get us thinking about how we optimize for that behavior and workflow. So let's go back to the topic at hand. We still haven't actually sent those flowers, right? And so when I was actually, for me, ready to go ahead and do this, and I went and visited a site, I went to this one, Bill's House of Flowers. Now it's interesting. It's got a great e-commerce system built in, tons of navigation and information, performs well. But I felt like something was missing in the way that I've actually started to build habits around how I retrieve information and interact with computing systems. I felt like something was missing, okay? And I'm not alone. In fact, 73% of people are like me, that when they go to a website, they expect to actually have some type of chatbot for a convenient interaction, okay? And so this leads me to point number 2, which is referred to as conversational commerce. And so conversational commerce, if you're unfamiliar with the term, is largely around apps, chatbots, voice assistants to help conduct commercial transactions and provide service. And this type of behavior paradigm is growing increasingly in popularity. In fact, when we look at OpenAI, for instance, in a recent sort of interview that they had with Sam Altman, we looked at 800,000 active users, 800 million active users. I think a slide got deleted there, but 10% of our global population now is essentially estimated to use ChatGPT and potentially as often as weekly. So we're closing in on 1 billion weekly active users. Absolutely crazy. And so, there we go. There's the slide that got moved. 10% of the world. So this is Sam Altman's quote. And so we have to assume that the journey often begins with general AI. And I'll call this general AI because this is a type of AI that you could essentially ask anything to. Now, as you move forward and you actually get closer to the business itself, this is where we progress to deeply personal AI. And this is where Vendasta stands to be an extremely valuable component in this new user behavior paradigm. I've already been basically conversing with general AI, but now I have questions specifically about this business, right? In this case, you know, I'd like to maybe make a delivery or is something in stock. And this is where our AI receptionist can actually help out immensely. And so just an area that the value of this, if you are attending our Partner Advisory Council, you'll see the immense interest there is from our partners, not only in our pre-built AIs, but in getting in there and configuring and customizing them for the unique needs of their businesses. So this is a huge success and only going to grow. We know that we're going to continue to expand the types of data that are made available to that AI receptionist, whether it's our system data or we start connecting to third-party data sources. And we're going to see an increased set of capabilities that this AI can do. We are well aware of lead capture, recently getting into booking meetings, recommending products, and maybe even looking up information from third-party sources, which you can do today with a custom integration. Which leads me into the third area, which is Model Context Protocol. Now, if we really think about this, what is the foundation of Model Context Protocol? This is essentially an expectation that people have around setting up AI, that they want it more intelligent, more capable, with less complexity and less effort. This is the direction that it will go. And so, you know, if I was to ask a question to AI like this, do you have flower pruners in stock? Not just do you carry them, not just how much they cost, but are they in stock? Well, in that case, our AI might actually look out to an e-commerce connection, in this case maybe Shopify, and actually look at inventory and say, yeah, we've got them. We've got 5 on hand. Where it starts to get complex is when you need to manage multiple connections across multiple tools. Company changes its APIs, and maybe you need to react and adjust and change, and there's a variety of little maintenance, sometimes nightmares that can surface from this. And this area, this complexity, is where Model Context Protocol starts coming in. And so the idea here is this starts to become as a plug-and-play standard. So if you hear about Model Context Protocol maybe surfacing on a sales call or something, you know, just in general interest of it, we well move down the direction that not only within our system will we have plug-and-play, but we'll start to have more plug-and-play into third-party systems as well. And so we'll reduce the effort, ideally, in connecting systems like Shopify for our customers. So when you think about how powerful our AI is and the types of things it can do across our product suite, you can also get into the idea where we can actually start adding capabilities into third-party applications, which makes it very powerful and very exciting, and that much easier. And so if you're a Matrix fan like me, you'll remember this one scene where he's sitting in this chair and they're about to train him on things, and a guy named Tank in the movie is rifling through some discs, and he bypasses all the preliminary training, and he's like, let's dive right into combat training. And Neo goes and learns all kinds of new information. In the end, he's like, I know Kung Fu, right? And so this is a brilliant scene, and not unlike our AI employees, right? In this case, if you bought reputation management, well then the review specialist can be like, I can request and respond to reviews, right? Or if you get social marketing, I can create and publish social content. Or you can get into something like Inbox, and I can respond to web chat and potentially handle incoming voice calls, right? So what the bridge that we need to cross as Vendasta is it doesn't necessarily change what our partners are selling. They're still selling products, but those unlock capabilities and knowledge in our AI employees, right? And so they become more powerful through this. And this will be the same, ideally with Model Context Protocol, the idea of connecting a third-party tool, which is available in our system today. It just requires a lot of technical effort, becoming more and more plug-and-play and easier for us as a company to maintain across numerous third-party systems. So, Vendasta's AI employees are powered by the products our partners already sell, and connecting third-party apps will become easier with MCP. So a few key takeaways out of the presentation. So in a world with zero-click search, we're moving beyond just this idea of traditional SEO. It's no longer a viable solution in isolation. We need to be thinking about AI-friendly content and how a business improves their GEO or their AI search capabilities. In a world of zero-click search, traffic growth is no longer a reasonable KPI. You're still going to get a lot of our partners that are looking to drive traffic. It starts to make less and less sense in a world where everyone's getting their information via zero-click search. Lead capture is what most businesses care about anyways, and we are well positioned to take advantage of this KPI for those businesses. In a world of conversational commerce, consumers desire convenient interactions. This is where our AI voice and web chat will allow for personalized experiences 24/7 with increasingly deep amounts of data about that business. In a world of growing AI expectations, consumers expect more with less effort. And this is where smart and capable AI employees are available now and progressing fast, and it must be a top priority for us to continue to make that easier and easier and easier for them to set up and deploy. And so thank you. Watch out for those AIs. You know, they're lovable, but also, yeah, it's, you know, if you dive in that way, I mean, hey, that sounds good, sounds good. Anyways, we'll move on to that. We got some stuff from Jason here around phishing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. We'll just give him a second to pull my slides up. Ba-dum-ba. Excellent. Okay. So of course we're here to talk about phishing. I wish this was the phishing that we do out on the lakes. This is the phishing that's in your inboxes. Just some quick email stats around phishing. We receive about 20,000 emails. That's received, not sent. 20,000 emails on an average business day here at Vendasta. We've had 0 email incidents since our last one on May 8th. And this is important because as of May, we stopped doing phishing testing on all of you. Before May, every month we sent out a fake phishing email to see who we could catch. We've stopped doing that, and we've stayed safe, which is great because on average, 20%, that graph there, the blue line underneath the red line, that's the number of phishing emails we receive every day. It's 4,000 to 6,000 emails a day, so between 5 and 10 emails per person that you receive a day are phishing emails, so it's really important that we haven't been clicking on them. But the reason I'm bringing this up is there's been some really amazing phishing attempts lately. This one was sent. It told us that our SendGrid was down. We had to resolve the issue now. Thankfully, really smart eyes looked up at that SendGrid sender address and said, I don't think SendGrid sends emails from reservia.do. Like, what the heck is going on here? So this wasn't clicked on. That was awesome. We also got this one, unresponsive webhook notice. This came from SendGrid. And if you hovered over this go to webhook settings button, it said it was SendGrid. But if you looked really closely, it was a SendGrid tracking link. So it was actually a link to a malicious payload. It did get clicked on. Thankfully, SendGrid had already disabled that payload, so we didn't get hit, which was awesome. Where is this all going? If you have any suspicion that something is phishing, please send it to us, not forward it to us. Let us know that you've received one. We may ask you for it. We'll tell you how to give it to us in a safe way, because if we can get that from you in a safe way, we have tools. This is the email analyzer. I ran it on that last one that had the link clicked on it. It very quickly told me that this was suspicious and that it had a payload. I was then able to take it over to another tool called AnyRun, which allows me to explode those payloads, detonate those payloads in a safe spot off on a disposable VM, so that I could find out what that payload was actually going to try to do to the person's machine before we caught it. We have these tools. We'd love to use them on your behalf to keep you safe and to make sure that all the important emails actually come through and the spammers don't. This is a quick screenshot from our Falcon. Our crowd score, 0 out of 100. This is a good thing. This is the one time you want a failing score. If we were 100 out of 100, that would mean we were on fire. We've only had 2 detections in the past 7 days. They were really minor. JavaScript on a website that was trying to do something funky that was blocked. In that same period, we looked, Falcon analyzed 376,000 events for us to see if there was something malicious attached to it. We're here, we're helping you out. I'm the czar of IT, otherwise known as that IT guy. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that, Jason. I still, honorarily consider myself unfishable. So, if you're out there, join me. Don't get fished. It's wonderful. With that, I think that's it. That's the last of our slides. We've got a short all hands today. Oh, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Is actually the juiciest part right here. It is the present for those present. Anybody are you gonna choose the ticket? I'll hold the jar. Oh, I'm gonna. Okay. All right, here we go. One from the bottom here. I've actually got a ticket. I can't wait to pull myself as the winner. Okay, 185 100 4 5. John, that's awesome. I appreciated the collective groan when everybody. Yeah. Have a happy Friday, everybody, and happy 4th of July. Much love.